Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
I mean, just like you said, I'm not in the quarterback room, so I don't really know everything that they say. But even at practice, just keeping up his confidence. Just congratulating him on a good ball or a good play. Just studying things with him, going over things with him. So Kellen definitely is looking good at practice also. So definitely excited of what he has been doing. And, what he has to come later in the future.
I feel like that's something we haven't done a good enough job with Judd on this show. Just keeping that confidence up and just giving that affirmation when you have a good take. Dex, I think we should just let Judd know. Listen, man, nice job there. Good take. Good angle there on that column on ScoreNorth.com.
I'm not in the host room necessarily with you two, but when he's been out there and in the productions with us, on the microphones, he knows what he's doing. So that's a good thing.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Affirmation. I'm good enough. People like me.
Yeah. Is there building blocks
actually,
here?
people don't necessarily like me, but that's a whole nother story.
No, there does seem to be a consensus now in the Purple Daily YouTube comment section that you aren't a toaster on the show, you're an air fryer, that you bring more to the table than a toaster.
Dude.
If I'm an air fryer,
clutch, man.
That means I'm the star of the show.
Yeah, can pretty
air
much
fryers.
Put anything in Judd and it'll tasty, delicious.
My value had just
I'm jealous.
Can I get a raise?
No, I'm upset. No, I'm upset.
Air fryer. Yeah, what's Dex?
Yeah,
popcorn?
Yeah, what is now? Yeah, you tell us. What is Declan? Purple Daily listeners.
I'm not the pressure cooker. I'm like a cheese grater or something. I don't even know what I would.
You're one of those like Zoodles graters where you can like put you can put like any vegetable in it and twist it.
I like that. Yeah, because he's multiple.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. He's multiple.
Like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
So anyhow, this is Purple Daily presented by TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL. And boys, happy minicamp week. Judd's going to be out there in Eagan covering practice and delivering us written pieces for the Score North app and ScoreNorth.com. And our schedule for Purple Daily is going to be a little bit different Tuesday through Thursday. You're probably not going to see episodes drop around the same time because Judd's going to be at practice, but we'll get you inside info from Vikings practice. But let's start out with 5 storylines.
Football.
A pecking order of the 5 key storylines from Vikings minicamp this week. And I want to put 2 caveats on this, okay? Number 1, I swear I am not ripping off StarTribune.com's variation of this. I put this together last night, okay? Mm-hmm. And I opened up StarTribune.com this morning, and Ben Gessling had 4 storylines for minicamp. And there's some similar themes here, okay? Some similar themes. So I just want to say Ben did a great job. I'd like to think that I'm about to do a great job here as well. And they are mutually exclusive. They have nothing to do with each other. Caveat number 2 is we had a little bit of breaking news come down here right before we teed up this episode. So I'll just start at the top. The number 1 storyline this week at Vikings minicamp is, will Danielle Hunter show up? Will this officially become a holdout when he misses a mandatory minicamp? Well, according to James Jones, former NFL wide receiver, he's now, I believe he's a Packers radio network analyst, I want to say. He does some media. And he tweets, the Vikings kick off their mandatory minicamp tomorrow with players reporting today. Sources say Danielle Hunter will be in attendance. NFL Network, he tagged on here. So your thoughts on how surprising that would be if Danielle Hunter, skipping the OTAs, unhappy with his contract, if he were to just show up and basically end this whole charade?
Does it end it, or is it an olive branch from Danielle Hunter and his camp potentially towards the Vikings to say, you've told us you're going to take care of us, we trust you implicitly, and so as a show of good faith, I will attend the 3-day camp, and by the way, not also get fined approximately $92,000 if he missed all 3 days. So I think what this shows is the fact, I don't know if it solves it. I think what it probably indicates is that there is common ground to be had here. And Phil, this very well might go back to what we've discussed for quite a while, which is there's a chance the Vikings said, hey, dude, be calm, be patient. We got a lot going on here. We will we will take care of your contract. We've taken care of guys before. This would show me, too, that there's some flexibility from Hunter as far as what the payday has to be. Because I got to believe if he said, I have to have the Joey Bosa contract or more, which is absolutely outlandish, and they're like, we can't do that he doesn't show. Yeah. So I think what this doesn't tell me it's done, but it does tell me that there is a hope or a feeling that these two sides can find common ground that will not only get him to this camp, but probably training camp as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it really is the only major. I mean, there's angst about little things here and there, and can the rookies step up and become starters on the offensive line and Kirk Cousins in big games, but it's really the only major elephant in the room. So if he shows up today and reports and he's at practice tomorrow, Declan, does your angst about this team go away? Like, what would it do for you?
My angst against the team doesn't go away, and I would actually, it's a good thing if Danielle Hunter ends up showing up. I was 50-50. Last night we did a vent line session with my dude Austin, who was down in Louisville, a big-time Vikings fan as well, and we both kind of agreed that it was a 50-50 worrisome, like 50-50 as in is he going to show up, or 50-50 is he going to do a holdout. I think this is a good thing for the Vikings. If he's showing up and he's showing he's ready to be here, that's a good thing. I still think they end up paying him, by the way. I still end up thinking that he gets a contract. He's not going in to week one, I think, on the current deal he's on, but he wants to get in shape. He wants to show that he's recovered from this neck injury. He has like almost no leverage. That's what I didn't get from the holdout. So I think this is a good thing. It's positive signs are coming up for the Vikings defense. Daniel's showing up tomorrow.
Do you guys feel like the Vikings owe him more money?
I feel like keeping him happy is probably pretty damn important. So I think "oh" is the wrong word, but I do think that they signed him to a, no question about it, team-friendly contract that I get he signed. I mean, he did sign it. But with what he did before he got hurt and having 14 and a half sacks in 2019 and then again in 2020, and the dominance that he can provide, where I disagree with Dex is there, to me, I keep coming back to this. There is leverage in this. If he says, I ain't playing, they'd have nobody to really rush the passer.
Yeah.
Like, potentially they have nobody. And you don't do what they've done, I'm sure, at the behest of their head coach, and remake the defense and get as many potential guys coming back from injury as they're going to get to, like, start camp with, okay, Weatherly and somebody else. We're going to give you a shot. So I think his potential leverage is definitely hurt by the fact he's coming off neck surgery. That being said, if he doesn't show and the Vikings go into training camp with two guys who are essentially former role players, that's a big deal too. So I think both sides, I think everybody here has a reason to keep everybody happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think where the Vikings are at with 2021 and where Zimmer's at on the hot seat, it is in everyone's best interest to put chips on the 2021 table, and one of those chips is Danielle Hunter's happiness. You could argue that philosophically, as an organization, you shouldn't set the precedent of a guy signing a contract that still, I mean, we act like he's so underpaid, and he is relative to other players at his position. He still makes like $15 million a year, right? So It's not like in baseball where Mike Trout won the MVP award making $500,000 because baseball's rookie structure screwed up. But I think in the interest of giving it your best effort to win as many games as possible in 2021 and compete for a championship, Danielle's happiness is close to the top of that list. And so from that standpoint, yeah, they don't owe him more money, but it's in their best interest to make him happy and give him more money. All right, storyline number 2 to watch this week at minicamp. And it's hard because we're talking offensive linemen here. You're not going to be able to glean a lot, but you might be able to glean if they get some starters reps. Will Christian Darrisaw and Wyatt Davis pick things up quickly enough this offseason to become starters at left tackle and at right guard?
I'm concerned about Darrisaw. So he missed a bunch of time in OTAs with a groin strain of some sort. That's going to put him behind. Like, the hope is absolutely yes. Zimmer doesn't love to play rookies, and especially if a guy's been hurt and hasn't been there. Let's just say I'm much more concerned right now about the question you just asked in relation to Darrisaw now than I was on draft night, where I just assumed plug and play potentially, and now I don't. So at that one, I'm concerned. I think Davis steps in and starts, and I'm sure they'll have a competition. I'm sure Dakota Dozier will get some first-team reps, and I'll go crazy and start screaming and yelling and being pissed off. But all of that being said, I think he'll start at guard. The Darrisaw one does concern me because I could see them giving Bashaud Hill a really good chance to play if Darrisaw doesn't start to get on the field more. And I realize that it's OTAs, and I realize it's June. All of that being said, Zimmer does like to have guys who are getting some experience. So that one does have me a little bit worried.
I mean, I would say if Christian Darrisaw isn't starting week, if there's an injury issue that lingers, or if there's something that needs surgery that was unforeseen, like that would be a huge buzzkill. But if he is a healthy non-starter in week 1, I would say that's a huge red flag, whether it's for, retaining playbook or just getting beat in camp. I would expect him, if he's healthy, to look very good, especially against potentially second-team defensive linemen. I would expect him to look very good and very quickly, maybe not in these 3 practices, but very quickly, like starting of actual training camp in a month and a half, be the starting left tackle. So, And Davis, too. I mean, for God's sakes, when you talk about competition you have to beat out, he has to beat out Dakota Dozier right now, right?
Yeah.
So the bar is even lower for him to emerge as a starting guard than it is for Darrisaw at left tackle, because Bashaud Hill is at least a respectable, good backup offensive tackle. But even he isn't. He's never been like a long-term, I don't think, right? I don't think he's ever started more than a couple games in the season. So, yeah. All right, storyline number 3, and this is more of a juicy one, boys.
You like that? You like that?
Will Kellen Mond steal some of the spotlight in minicamp and in actual training camp on the horizon?
Okay, 2-part answer to this question. One is, in our world, I think he will. I think we'll see things, and we're like, Kellen Mond made a great pass to take your pick. And it was a great, fantastic, and they beat third-team cornerback so-and-so, and oh my God, there's something here. But the most important part of your question comes back to, will Kellen Mond flash and impress and make strides with the coach staff? And I don't know that the answer to that is yes. Again, keep in mind who the coaching staff is, and most importantly, who the head coach is. And keep in mind that he's not really a rookie guy unless he's forced to be. So I think there will be a preseason game, one of the 3, where Mond plays and we get all excited, and he probably makes some nice plays. Does he start the season as the primary backup to Kirk Cousins? My guess is no, he does not. My guess, Jake Browning does.
Okay. All right. How excited are you going to get, Declan, if he flashes
Declan's going to get a jersey.
I might have to break the Mackey and Judd Cardinal sin, and might actually have to get a jersey of a player that's younger than me and to be wearing.
Don't you do it.
No, I think actually what I'll be doing is I'll get some sushi. I'll get some seafood. I know Kellen Mond's a big seafood guy. I'll pick him up right after Egan. We'll go to Smack Shack. We'll talk X's and O's. It'll be a whole thing.
Yeah,
okay, so the seafood. The seafood in Minnesota, like Ocean Air. Love me some Ocean Air. Love me some Smack Shack. But who told him? Were people talking about walleye? Like walleye
I like
is
Judd's
not
theory.
Walleye's not seafood.
He got punked.
I like Judd's conspiracy theory here too. I think he got punked. I think it was, you got to try the seafood in Minnesota. It's like,
I bet he told someone, I love me some seafood, and they're like, Kellen, Minnesota's great for seafood, and he's like, fantastic. I think he's a youngster who got punked.
But what I'm saying is, people in Minnesota might like the walleye is amazing, right, and some of the like Friday fish fries, right?
That's not seafood.
No, that's freshwater food.
Right, which is great.
Which is good.
But I mean, we're talking about you in Seattle have seafood.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Like you have seafood.
We just make eye contact with our dinner. We pull it
and
out of the water.
And it rolls over.
Lasers. Yeah, just...
Yes, it's like, okay, I'm done.
Mackie after the show just goes with his raw hand and just grabs a fish out of the water. And
honey, I'm going down. Yeah. I'm going down to the water.
Yeah.
Puts on his big waders and goes in. Picks out the fresh catch for that night. Brings it home.
Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, I think I think Kellen Mond is going to, just because of how easy it is to look good in some of these drills, right? Now, when it gets to be 11 on 11 and you're doing 2-minute drills, all right, you can look bad quickly. But 7-on-7s, shorts and shells, it's going to look really easy for him to get out on the edge,
Garbage
use mobility.
cans.
Football.
Garbage cans as linemen.
Tavares Jackson had some great practices back in the day. Christian Ponder had some great practices once in a while. So he's going to look impressive just because he's mobile and he's going to make some things happen. He'll complete some passes down the field. It'll be interesting to see if he looks that much better than Jake Browning and what they do with that. Do they make him the backup quarterback, the number 2 quarterback going into the year? And if that's the case, it will, not to sit here and be all doom and gloom, but like if he's the backup because he has a good mini camp and a good training camp, and Kirk has one of those Kirkian games where he throws 2 bad interceptions and fumbles, the closer Kellen Mond is to jumping into an actual game, it could be a thing. So
we'll be calling for it.
This is where it starts, is this week in minicamp. Does he look competent, or is he going to need a year to sort of get things under his belt? I'm excited for it, though. Excited to watch it.
Typical Mackey trying to stir up things that don't exist.
No, it's not.
Kirk's great.
It is what it is.
I hate Mackey.
Stirring it up, Mackey.
Is what it is. I'll tell you what we're stirring up. We're stirring up a fun sporting event this summer. I know there's a lot of people out there, Vikings fans, who also like golf and big events. And the 3M Open is coming to town July 19th through the 25th at TPC Twin Cities. Phil Mickelson, rumors? There might be a Phil Mickelson.
Charlie Walters saying don't dismiss Lefty.
Either way, there's going to be a lot of great players, a lot of great food. Fans are very much welcome, so get on out there and celebrate the game of golf. The 3M Open, open to fans. Tickets available, 3mopen.com/tickets, 3mopen.com/tickets.
Something to watch before football starts because we've buried the Twins. That's awesome.
That is correct.
You like that?
Yes.
You like that?
All right, storyline number 4 for you guys, and I think you're gonna with the depth chart and with just how much Mike Zimmer likes to put his defense through the ringer during some of these practices. He likes to test out his defense. Breeland versus Dantzler, I think, is the most intriguing battle.
Juicy.
On the defensive side of the ball. You've got 3rd-round pick who flashed and looked great for about a month and a half toward the end of the year last year. And then you've got established NFL veteran who signed to compete for a starting job. So Breeland versus Dantzler, and who gets the other starting cornerback spot opposite Patrick Peterson, who I don't think is in a competition. I think he's just straight up starting, even though he wasn't good last year. So, yeah. Do we think Breeland's going to just take the field once he practices with the first-team defense? Or do you think they're going to make him have to earn that spot and overtake Dantzler? What do we think?
So I'm guessing that tomorrow when they line up for reps with the first-team defense out there, I'm guessing Dantzler's out there, not Breeland. But ultimately, if I had to place a wager on opening day, week 1 right now, I'd say Breeland, not Dantzler.
Okay.
So I think he wins it. I think it's probably a competition of sorts. But I think the fact that if Breeland can fit into what Zim wants defensively, schematically, I think he's going to default towards the veteran with experience with a Super Bowl who's played in the past too. So I think tomorrow it's Dantzler. And I think on day 1 of training camp, it's a rotation of sorts. But I think week 1, if he's healthy and he's picked up the defense that they play, Breeland starts against the Bengals.
I agree with all those things. I think there is sort of a with Peterson and the money that he made, he's just going to be a starter. With Breeland, I think they're going to want him, and he came in like Peterson was at least part of some of the OTAs, right? Breeland came. I don't think Breeland practiced at all in the OTAs. I think he was just like on the sidelines and doing some individual stuff.
Well, he had shoulder surgery in like March, so he might not be cleared too by this point.
Yeah. So they might just play it safe and wait until
I
July.
wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yep, I think that's accurate, but I think ultimately Breeland and Pat Pete are going to be your starting cornerbacks on the outside. And then storyline number 5 here is more of a broad one, but it's Mike Zimmer's general demeanor. There's a lot of pressure. He had a lot of introspective things to say back around the league year, the combine, just talking about watching all the film from last year and seeing how offenses and defenses are evolving, and like he had a bunch of meetings dissecting philosophy with his defensive coaches, right? Well, has he applied some of that same curiosity to the offensive side of the ball? Are we going to see an evolved Mike Zimmer, or are we going to see cantankerous, pressure is high,
Yes.
Angsty
Keep going.
Mike
Keep
Zimmer?
going.
So you think
Keep
it's
going.
that? You think it's
Oh, yeah.
that?
Yeah, he's not going to change. Yeah. No, he's going to be – he knows exactly what's at stake. Keep in mind, the pressure defensively on him, which is where his day begins and ends, is incredibly high now, right? Because he got the parts that he asked for. You know, I need tackles that can stop the run. Okay, Mike. Now here's basically two guys that in the last 2 years, including one in Michael Pierce, who didn't play in 2020. Barr is back. Kendricks is back. The secondary has a different look. So, yeah, from day one, the pressure's going to be incredibly high, I believe. And I think Mike is going to act like Mike, and Mike knows this. And look, in Mike's defense here, no pun intended, if they don't have, if he's right on this count, I think that this team needs to make the playoffs, and I think they probably need to win at least a game for him to save his job. So, like, he's not wrong there. The problem is this. I don't think Zimmer being mad about things he thinks he can control is a bad thing. Like, I think that's sort of okay. The problem, Phil, to your question and the demeanor is if Mike feels the pressure, and Mike is sort of cantankerous and surly, which he is a lot of the time, that comes back to a couple things: special teams and offense. Because those are things that I think frustrate him and he can't control. And so I guess
he can't. Why can't he control those things? He's the head coach.
Because he doesn't feel he can, because they frustrate him.
Team.
I know, but look at the quarterback play. He just wants his quarterback to go out there and be great. He doesn't really want to deal.
He doesn't
you're
have.
Not
so
wrong.
to your
I'm
point,
not saying you're wrong.
To your point, he doesn't have in the 7 years he has spent or whatever it is as head
doesn't
coach.
really have an interest in it.
He is still mostly a defensive coordinator who outsources and delegates offense and special teams out to other people, and then just fires those people or has falling outs with those people if those units don't perform well. He has yet to master the art of himself going and getting some dinner with Kirk Cousins and talking in depth about quarterback play, right? Like he has, I don't think he has any
He's probably
desire.
tried. I don't think he has the patience for it. One question. Would you hire Zim as your CEO of any company?
No.
Of course not. But I mean, that's what a head coach is.
Well, how many NFL head football coaches would you hire to run a different business? Like that they could that they have the curiosity and the intelligence to just.
There's
sort
a
of
lot of the young ones that I would at least talk to.
Actually, I think Bill Belichick would find a way to. He'd probably piss a lot of people off, and he'd fire.
But
a lot
I think
of
the
people,
young ones are curious. I think the young ones. I think the young offensive guys still have more of a patience. Mike has no patience, and so when Kirk screws up or Case Keenum screwed up, Mike was just pissed off. And I mean, look, the poster child for the Zimmer era about what I'm talking about will always be one spot to me. It's kicker. This incredibly important, and I know football people hate kickers, and you probably should. But that's why you gotta go get one like Longwell, a veteran guy who you trust, who you just know is going to, for the most part, get the job done, right?
What's Longwell, like 48 now?
Longwell's younger than me, so yeah, he's probably in his he's probably in the second half of his 40s.
Would you rather roll the dice? Would you rather never kick a field goal beyond 46 yards with a 48-year-old Ryan Longwell and just like trust that he's accurate inside 46 yards and extra points, or take another spin cycle with these random?
I would hire a guy like Ryan to come in and work exclusively as almost the therapist for my kicker.
Why haven't they? He's open to that. He's told us he's open to that. Why
he's talked to him before, and they hired the guy from the Chargers. Who was the guy? Was it Carney?
Nate Kading?
Kading.
Yes.
Kading.
He was hired a couple of years ago to do exactly this, and I don't think he's still around. I'm not sure on that one.
Was it Nate Kading or was it Nick? I'm trying to think of these random Chargers.
It was a Chargers kicker. It was a Chargers kicker.
Kading worked for the Vikings in 2019 as a part-time kicking
Then that's
consultant.
him, yes.
Yeah.
Then that's right.
Okay, yeah.
But
I don't know if he's still with the team.
But the point being is,
He was also out of the league and cooked by
Yes.
29. So
but what Ryan could come in and do is, I would say, Mike, don't talk to my kicker. Don't come around him. And if you melt down, I can at least dismiss it to him. Like, he turned Dan Bailey into a bowl of jelly. Dan Bailey was fine, and now the guy's probably in therapy on somebody's couch explaining his life from the age of 6.
And the hardest part for Dan Bailey is he had his bags packed right after that Buccaneers game. He was just like ready to fly back home to wherever, Dallas or wherever he lives, right? And Mike Zimmer threw him a curveball. He didn't cut him, right?
Yeah, I know.
And then
Which was the
Dan
worst
Bailey
thing.
had to live in torture waiting for Mike Zimmer to come around the corner for the next 5 weeks to let him go. But he didn't. He waited till after the season. Showed incredible restraint.
But it
with
didn't
that. I
help
thought he
Bailey
handled
because
Dan Bailey very well.
He was so mind-believed. But that's the point, is Mike being intense and upset about defense, I think, sort of works at times, because he can sort of like scheme around it and control it a little bit. It's the offense and the special teams where I get concerned about how he acts.
Well, put it this way. I mean, it would be a wild deviation from what wins like at the highest level in today's NFL if the Vikings had sort of a predictable, conservative, and I would say predictable and conservative offense that leans with the run first, right? If they rode that and put all their eggs on defense, I think for them to defense is great. It doesn't have to be zero sum. Like, you can defense, but you have to show some innovation on the offensive side of the ball more than you had the last couple of years. You got weapons, you got an accurate quarterback. Your offensive line should be better, and so I just want to see a little more high octane, a little more innovation offensively.
yes.
And go from, instead of thumping our chests about being 4th in yardage, right, which is what everyone's doing. The Vikings were top 5 or whatever it was in yardage. Yeah, they were 11th in points.
Yes.
Because they're too conservative in certain situations. If they can be a top 5 points offense, now we're talking a team that could maybe win a Super Bowl with even an above average defense. So we'll see. So when I say demeanor, I also mean the way that he thinks about winning football games in the NFL. It seems like he's been more reflective and introspective this offseason than in other years. We'll see if it translates.
But don't forget, his quote at some point in time in the last few months about the offense was basically, "It's fine, it's good, it was great." It's like, that's not really how you're supposed to approach it. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, quick question for you. Week 3, 2nd and 12. What's the play call? Not what's your play call. What's the play call?
Yeah, I mean they run the ball more often in most situations than league average.
Yes.
I think the bigger question is 2nd and short. They ran the ball so disproportionately much on 2nd and short.
I'm not even
when
asking
your
that.
whole
It's a run.
playbook's open. But that's the thing. Like,
I know.
when it's 2nd and 2, and we're just a bunch of armchair play callers here. When it's 2nd and 2, you can run anything. You can throw an incomplete pass, and you're still fine. Now it's 3rd and 2, right?
Yep.
And they choose, well, hey, we're only 2 yards away from a first down, so let's pound the rock. Let's get those 5 yards, and let's get a first down, right? As opposed to, let's leverage some play action, which is our quarterback's favorite thing with one of the best running backs in the NFL. Let's hit a home run play down the field. That's how they should be thinking.
Of course, but young Clint is not going to do what his daddy clearly couldn't do, which was tell Mike, we should throw right now.
And no one is saying throw as much as DiFilippo wanted you to throw.
Right.
Like, at one point, Kirk Cousins had the most pass attempts in the league through like 10 weeks or something.
Right.
Okay, that's setting him up to fail. But can you throw the ball even like 3 more times a game in certain situations where it makes sense? The other thing, too, and the stats bear this out, the Vikings run the ball way too much inside the 10-yard line and inside the red zone for my liking. And again, I'm just, listen, I quit football in 7th grade, so take my opinion with a grain of salt when it comes to play calling. But
Well, you quit because it was tough.
the field scrunches down in the red zone. And so when you're when you run the ball on 2nd and goal from the 7,
Yes.
what are you hoping to accomplish? Get to the 3, and now you have 1 crack at the end zone?
Dalvin's going to pound the rock. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Well, you know who I bet was really pissed? rightfully so, Rudy about that. Because that's the one thing he's got left, right? The one last thing that he's got left, no questions asked. Red zone, you're at like the 5 to 8. You throw it to him. He can make the catch.
Mickey Mouse hands go up in the air.
That one touchdown catch that he made in the back of the end zone last year, I think it was against the Titans at US Bank Stadium, was a great catch. That's the one thing, and I believe he caught one touchdown. If I'm not mistaken.
Dimes, throw me the ball.
Football.
Danny Dimes.
Oh, my God. Speaking of Mickey Mouse, we got to just real quick. We talked about this more in depth on Mackie and Judd, our other daily show. If you guys want to check us out, podcast, YouTube. Mark Murphy, the Packers president and CEO. Here's the full quote. And, of course, this is the guy that like 3 weeks ago said, the less said publicly, the better, and then writes an article on Packers.com and then says this, quote, I'm often reminded of Ted Thompson, who often talked about Aaron Rodgers and would say, quote, he's a complicated fella. So I'll just say that. I mean, good for them for just blowing up this relationship with him sky high and moving headstrong into the Jordan Love era. But if you're a Vikings fan, this is exactly what you wanted to see over the weekend, right? Maybe you're wondering, things have been kind of quiet on that front. I wonder if they're working things out behind the scenes. Right. And this idiot, Mark Murphy, comes out and proves without a shadow of a doubt that the gap between the two sides is as wide as it's ever been. And Aaron Rodgers, who's as vindictive as any professional athlete will ever cover, right, probably saw this quote and thought, if there was even a 2% chance of me going back, now maybe he shows up to training camp or something and shocks the world, but I think he's the type of dude that reads, he's a complicated fella, and says, all right, I'm good. Let's call Jeopardy. Hey, agent guy, let's call Jeopardy again and see if we can
I'll just sit.
Yeah.
I'll just sit out. See you later. Bye. But, I mean, what are the Packers doing? And they went through Favre, so it's not like this is their first divorce. It's like you went through the Favre thing. Did you learn nothing from the Favre thing?
I feel so bad for them to have to do this again 15 years later. Just really keeps me up at night sometimes.
Yeah, but the one thing about this that just baffles me is the lack of common sense here. Like, Ted Thompson was one of the most private people you will ever meet. Like, none of this came out. He's dead, and Mark is like, yeah, you know what Ted used to say about Aaron. Yeah, another guy I would clearly not want as the CEO of my company.
You know, kind of sounds like
Mark Murphy.
Sounds like they could use some insurance. I think that's what they could use. They could absolutely use some insurance.
Probably could.
Yeah, maybe.
And Federated would be here.
Where would they find it?
This is the problem. If you're a guy like Mark Murphy, you need a company standing behind you so that when things start percolating in the wrong direction for your business, you got that guiding hand that can tell you, hey, everything's going to be okay. We've been through this situation before. You've been through this situation before, and we're here to remind you how to navigate it. Federated's been around for over 100 years, based in Owatonna, and they provide risk management resources, peace of mind, and a guiding hand for your business. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. All right, boys.
You like that? You like that?
Happy minicamp week.
5 questions. Good work. Storylines.
Yeah, storylines. Some of them questions.
But I mean, nice work. Nice work. I mean, slightly stolen from the Star Tribune. I got no problem with that.
No, that's okay.
I reordered them a little, too, because it just felt like we both had the same order with a couple. It's kinda,
you know what?
Sorry.
It's fine. I mean, they beat you to the punch. Don't, no sweat.
I should have published mine last night.
Yep.
You
But I just on a
ScoreNorth.com.
Midnight last night. That's what we should have done.
All right, Judd's going to be out at minicamp the rest of this week, sounding any alarms that need to be sounded and bringing insight and analysis to the Score North app and ScoreNorth.com. So, we'll see you guys tomorrow.